Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. I think about the SHOT Show being like last week, but it was really last month, and there are all sorts of new things, and we're still talking about some of the new stuff there. And, of course, we talk about guns, we talk about ammo, but the reality is for an awful lot of things, whether it's really rifles, shotguns, or pistols, we're putting optics on everything these days. And who better to talk about that than Shawn Skipper over at Leupold, the folks over in Oregon. Hey, Shawn.
Hey, Tom, how you doing today?
I am great. So, all right, you guys introduced, as you always do, more things at SHOT Show. When somebody asks you, okay, what was new there, run through the list for me.
I can do that for you. And I tell you what, I agree with you. I know it was over a month ago, but it does feel like a week. And the funny thing is, it'll be about 2 more weeks. We'll be talking about SHOT Show 2024.
Oh, God.
Right?
Don't even say that.
So, this year out in Las Vegas, we had 2 key new releases. The first is a rifle scope, the Mark V HD 2-10, and that's a continuation of our Mark V HD family, which is, and the Mark V is really the best long-range precision rifle scope on the market. And the 2-10 is just the latest kind of iteration. And what you're getting into there is a 35 millimeter main tube optic that is fantastic for designated marksman rifles, recce rifles, things like that. You're going to, go crank the thing all the way down to 2 power, go up to 10. You're still getting 3 full turns of adjustment. You're still getting our professional grade optical system. You're still getting the best scope on the market, just in a smaller, more compact package that's going to reach a consumer that the 3.6 to 18 and 5 to 25 and 7 to 35 just really weren't yet. So we're really excited about it. And we're pumped to get that one on the market. It actually should be hitting shelves sometime very soon.
All right, let me ask you a quick question. 35 millimeter tube. A lot of people say, well, let's in more light. That's not really what it's about, is it? Is it more about having more adjustment?
It is all about the adjustment. Main tube size, I get it. We hear bigger, so we think it must be letting more in, and that's really not the case. That all comes down to things like coatings, lenses, objective lens size, things like that is what you're talking about with light. With the main tube, it really is just to get all those parts in there. A scope that advanced has got a lot of little moving parts inside of it, especially that erector system that is changing your magnification, changing your adjustments, all that in there. It takes up a lot of space. In order to make sure it is doing so in a rugged, reliable, and consistent manner, we've got to give it space to breathe. So yeah, the main tube is a little bit bigger.
Okay, it makes sense. And, for those that have never thought about it, a rifle scope, you've got adjustments in there. You're trying to move mechanical things, probably less than the width of a human hair. And at the same time, it's got to stand up to massive recoil over and over again. It's an amazing achievement.
Oh, absolutely. And, I don't know how long it's been since you've had a chance to visit the factory out here, Tom, but we've got the Punisher downstairs. And any of our stuff, especially the Mark V HDs, but any products that are going to go in a firearm have to pass Punisher testing. And that thing will be on them for about 5,000 impacts at extreme force, and then they've still got to hold 0. So we put these things to the test, and the Mark V HD is absolutely delivering.
Okay, we'll get back to the whole thing about magnification in a minute, but tell me about the other cool thing you introduced.
So our other big product that shot was the BX4 Range HD rangefinding binocular.
Yeah, and, buddy, I'm all over that one.
I've been at Leupold for 5 years now, and every single year, question number 1 at every trade show, especially so this time of year especially, is, hey, where's the Leupold rangefinding binocular? And we finally have an answer for it. And the BX4 Range HD, fantastic product. We roll it out of SHOT. It should be hitting shelves by March or April. You're looking at a basic 10x42 binocular, the most popular binocular configuration in the world. That's why we're starting with the 10x42. You're going to get, our TBRW system in there with the tech. So you're going to have lightning fast ranges. You're going to have the TBRW, which will handle, some ballistic grouping and all things like that, just based on the load data that we pre-program into the rangefinder. And you are going to get the just crispest, clearest rangefinding binocular you will find at this price point. So we're talking $1,600, and we're talking something that's super clear, super easy to use. A lot of rangefinding binos, all of them, they have a little bit of distortion versus standard binocular, and that's because when you put that film in there, that screen that the display shows up on, it's going to impact the optical clarity. It's just it's the law, right? There's no way anyone can work around it.
Right.
But we took our time, we got it right, and this is an incredibly crisp, incredibly clear, rangefinding binocular. The light transmission is through the roof, and we are very, very excited about it.
You're an avid hunter. Talk about, if you would, for a second, the value or the benefit of having a rangefinder binocular.
If anyone that's hunted the West, especially where you're looking at things that are further away. I grew up hunting whitetail on the East Coast and never had a rangefinder most of the time because the longest shot I had from my stand was usually only about 80 yards.
Right.
But out here, in the West or in the Midwest, where things get a little more wide open, all right, you spot your elk, your deer, your antelope, whatever you might happen to be hunting. It's a few hundred yards away. You put down your 10 power bino, your 12 power bino, whatever you got on your chest. You pull that rangefinder up. You're going to have less magnification. A lot of rangefinders, 5, 6, maybe 7 power if they're top end. You're trying to find it with less magnification. You're trying to get a range. Then you got to put that rangefinder down and then put your rifle up. Mm-hmm. And it's just a lot of movement, a lot of moving parts, and a lot of trying to refine these critters in 3 different lenses. Rangefinding bino, you're just cutting out the middleman. You've got your bino up at all times. The moment you see something, you can range it. The only time you've got to refine it is when you're getting on your gun, or in some cases walking somebody in if you're just spotting for your buddy.
Right.
And you're limiting the room for error, right? A lot of trophy animals, you're going to get a half a second to actually kill them.
Right.
And so the fewer steps involved between you seeing him and you squeezing that trigger, the better.
Absolutely. I've been using rangefinder binoculars for like 3 or 4 years now out here in the West, and it really changes the game. The only problem is the ones I've been using are like twice as expensive and heavier and bigger than what you have here. So I'm really excited about the Leupold.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, we'll have them by mid-March, early April. I've got a set already with your name on them. They'll be heading your way. But we are excited to get these out there. And we spent, like I said, $1,600 at that price point, and nobody's going to compete with them.
All right. Talk for a second about, we've got all this interest in long-range shooting. And as a result, I can think of that like as NASCAR. They're out there really ringing stuff out and working on the gear. And then as hunters, we get the benefit of that, a lot of times in the form of really cool product. But sometimes I wonder, and this is where I kind of toss it to you, do hunters sometimes go with too much magnification on their scopes?
They could. This is not a you don't need it situation, because everyone's an individual. Everyone can shoot however they like, as long as they're doing so, wisely, safely, and ethically. But what I have personally found is that sometimes if the more you crank up that mag, and you've probably seen this, the more you see your reticle move, and I have seen that mess with more than a few shooters, and hunters and tactical guys alike.
Interesting.
That's something we've addressed in some of our training courses we've done with writers, things like that before in the past. Sometimes a little too much. You're seeing too much, right? Mm-hmm. So you can see that reticle wiggle, and it's really not making it will not make a difference, but it gets in somebody's head. Or in other cases, especially if you're using a larger caliber rifle, maybe you don't, maybe without a brake or without a suppressor, you bang away with a 300 Win Mag and you're dialed, all the way up to 25 power or something like that, and you might have a hard time finding that animal again for a follow-up shot.
I've done it.
Magnification's cranked way up.
I've done it. Shot at a big mule deer, hit him, that he took off. I'm at the high magnification. I can't find him after that. And everybody's yelling, "He's right there." That's what they always say, right? He's right there. You're going, yeah, that doesn't help me.
Yeah, and we will, we obviously will support every single consumer out there. We've got hunting scopes up to 24 magnification. If you want to use our Mark V HD, you can go up to 35. I'm not going to tell anyone not to hunt that way. It's never tell anybody not to hunt how they'd like to hunt. It's just being prepared and being ready and kind of knowing what, where you are in that magnification, because it's very easy to get lost in it. And that's just where training and making sure you're doing plenty of your own shooting comes in before you actually get out in the field.
All right, Shawn, in the few minutes I got left here, if you would, run through some of the accessories, because we have so many now. When you go out hunting, whether it's accessories for your binos or for your scopes or whatever, what do you think, okay, I got to have these?
One of the most underrated pieces of equipment in the field, if you're assuming you're going to be carrying optics, is a proper lens cloth and maybe, one of the aftermarket, lens cleaning fluids out there to keep things clean. Because let's face it, the world's dirty. The field, especially the field, you can get dirt, mud, if you shoot a critter, blood, snow, ice, the whole deal. And, my optical engineers would cry if they saw how many people use their fingers or a t-shirt or a paper towel or anything else to clean their lenses. Because that one time, sure, but over years, yeah, you can bang up your lenses that way.
And optical coatings are soft. I mean, they're just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, so having the proper materials to protect your stuff, right? You wouldn't put the wrong fuel in your car, so don't treat your optics any different.
Okay, good.
So that is, I'd say, a severely underrated tool to have in the field, especially given that a lot of lens cloths now are made. You can clip them right on your bino strap or bino harness or whatever you're wearing your belt. However, you
why would you not have it? Exactly. Okay, how do we keep water and junk off of our scopes?
We've got a couple different solutions here. So we've got, some neoprene covers. Those are my personal favorite because they're easy to just rip off and throw right back on as we're stomping around. Mm-hmm. We've also got the aluminum flip back covers, which are offered stock with our higher end stuff like the VX6 HD, and then are available for, we will sell them aftermarket for some of the more price point scopes. We don't want to include those in the packaging in case the guy doesn't want, it saves the guy a little bit of money, and then you can choose to add them later if you'd like. So that's a fantastic option. If you see those, they just, they screw right onto each end of your scope. When it's time to go ahead and look for your target, you push the button, flip them open, easy day. So they're another fantastic solution that'll keep stuff out of your lenses, when it counts. But the important thing is, of course, you take a dive in the mud, just be sure to check out your scope. I've seen more than once a guy pop up, we see a mule deer or something like that, and his scope is still caked in the mud he fell in a half hour ago.
Oh, good grief. All right. Chest pouches for binos. What do you think?
We offer a binocular harness, the Pro Guide Binocular Harness. I love it. Straps right under your chest. It's very similar to a lot of the other bino harnesses you've seen on the market. We're working with Marsupial on that, so an American brand that we're partnered with to roll that bino harness out. Easy day, just keeps it pulled tight. You can flip it down, easy access, climbing around, rolling around, anything like that. You don't have to worry about your bino swinging. When I was younger, like I said, a lot of tree stand hunting, I didn't mind wearing them around my neck. But when you're climbing up a ridge in the dark and they're swinging and hitting your arm and your leg and the gun in a tree, that gets annoying, right? The bino harness keeps them much more contained and just out of the way, especially if you got to crawl or climb.
There you go. And we're out of time. We haven't even had a chance to talk about red dots, the aspirational part of Leupold, which is, the glasses and all the other stuff you guys have, but you got an entire line. And then, of course, sometime we got to talk about all the things you're doing with the military too.
Oh, absolutely. We'll have to set something up, and I can get one of my military guys on if you want. But we've got a lot of neat stuff, obviously, out in the field. We've been working with the military and law enforcement for decades, and we've done a lot of really neat stuff. We could absolutely talk about that in the future.
Sounds good. Shawn Skipper, thank you so much. It's rare we get a chance to talk with you when you're not out in the field, so I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, and I look forward to coming back here soon.